News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
5 minutes after the hour, and with your KVNU local headlines on this Wednesday afternoon, I'm Will Figueroa. Oh, a sad story to begin with. A 85-year-old man died yesterday afternoon after falling 12 to 15 feet into an empty septic tank in Millville. Emergency crews responded to the residence near 200 East and 200 South just after 4:40 p.m. after a neighbor witnessed the fall and called 911. Now, Cache County Sheriff's Lieutenant Michael Sean Barchi said that the man was initially conscious, but hazardous gases inside the tank had made the atmosphere too dangerous for firefighters to immediately enter without specialized equipment. First responders were forced to wait for a technical rescue team equipped for high-risk confined spaces. Now, by the time rescuers successfully reached the victim, he had lost consciousness. He was extricated and pronounced dead shortly after. Now, witnesses said that the septic tank had recently been pumped out and that the man was working around the opening when he fell in. His identity is being withheld pending notification of family. Well, in other news, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services has identified now 48 confirmed cases of cyclosporiasis since May 1st, with a majority of those linked to out-of-state travel. Now, according to health officials, 31 infected individuals have traveled abroad, while 12 visited other U.S. states. Now, 5 patients reported no travel outside of Utah, and state epidemiologists are currently investigating those local cases. Now, so far, no product recalls have been issued by the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. Cyclosporiasis is a gastrointestinal illness that is caused by a microscopic parasite that's typically contracted through contaminated food or water. Now, while not usually life-threatening, it can cause prolonged watery diarrhea and abdominal distress if untreated. Now, health experts are advising thoroughly washing fresh produce under running water and refrigerating cut fruits and vegetables within 2 hours to reduce infection risks. And finally, a federal judge ruled yesterday that Utah can enforce its anti-gambling laws against prediction market platform Kalshi, rejecting the financial exchange's claim that federal oversight shields its sports event contracts from state regulation. Now, U.S. District Judge Robert Shelby had granted summary judgment to Utah, dismissing Kalshi's February lawsuit and closing the case. Now, Kalshi had argued that its status as a federally registered exchange had exempted its sports wagers from local bans. However, the judge yesterday ruled that federal commodities law does not override state authority to regulate or prohibit gambling within its borders. Now, Utah Attorney General Derek Brown praised the ruling, emphasizing that online gambling still remains a third-degree felony under Utah's Constitution. Now, the decision marks a major legal defeat for event contract platforms, with 23 now federally recognized tribes and multiple gaming industry associations filing briefs supporting Utah's authority to ban the wagers. Well, we're going to see some smoke and haze continuing overnight tonight as temperatures going to drop into the low 50s. Tomorrow, we'll see temperatures back into the low 90s, and then getting even warmer for Friday and the weekend as a heat advisory will go into effect from the National Weather Service. We've got the possibility we'll be back around 100 on Saturday. So it looks like those cooler weather that we've enjoyed the last couple of days is not going to last. And it's Logan Extermination that brings you our weather. If you're feeling the heat, well, your lawn definitely is. That's why Logan Extermination's Summer Back to Green treatment can help your grass bounce back from summer stress. Call them today at 752-8450 or get more information by visiting their website, loganextermination.net. I'll have another check of local news coming up at the bottom of the hour as KVNU News Time is now 5:09, and more of KVNU's For the People show with Jason Williams coming up next here on KVNU 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and also always streaming live on the KVNU mobile app, available to download for free at the Google Play and Apple App Store.
Hi, it's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we're changing our name to Alera Group. Wondering who Alera Group is? They are one of the largest privately held insurance firms in the country, which means more choices and stronger buying power for you. And yes, you're still working with your Cache Valley crew. Same local office, same personal service. Stop by and see us. Same faces, same place. Or call 435-752-0101.
One mountain, one challenge, one epic finish. Are you tough enough to battle the Beeve? On Saturday, September 12th, conquer Beaver Mountain on a 4.75-mile climb that'll push your strength, endurance, and determination to the limit. The Little Beeve Run for kids 12 and under starts at 9:30 with the main event beginning at 10 a.m. Space is limited, so register today at raceentry.com. That's raceentry.com. Winner will receive a season pass to Beaver Mountain Ski Resort. Battle the Beeve, December 12th at Beaver Mountain. Can you beat the Beeve?
This is Ryan at My Mattress. When I started this company almost 20 years ago, I knew I needed the best vendors as partners. I had a goal to get Tempur-Pedic, Intellibed Purple, and Sealy Posturepedic, since they were by all accounts the best. As many of you know, these brands have been my partners for many years now. Add that to our 90-day sleep guarantee, our 90-day price guarantee, and that's why we're the #1 mattress company in Northern Utah. Thank you, Cache Valley. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Hi, I'm Courtney Gregory with American Family Insurance. What I love most about Northern Utah is the people. Neighbors helping neighbors and friends supporting friends. That's exactly how we approach insurance. We're local, accessible, and committed to protecting your families, homes, and businesses. If you're looking for an insurance team that's here when you need them, stop by our office next to Logan Lanes or visit boxelderinsurance.com.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies. American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Experience the Ron Keller Tire difference. A quick, easy, no-wait, and fast service for your tire needs. And now Ron Keller Tire in Logan does alignments, front-end work, shocks, struts, and brake services. That's right, alignments, shocks, and brakes. Ron Keller Tire, a name you can trust. Committed to keeping your vehicles running smooth and safe. Why wait? Why schedule?
Why wait? Ron Keller Tire. Why wait?
In Logan, Preston, Tremont, and Malad.
Constantly sneezing, having itchy eyes, or runny nose? It's allergy season. This is Dr. Tyson Brown with Budge Clinic's Allergy and Immunology team. We can help you get the relief you need. Having the only board-certified allergist in the Valley, Budge Allergy Clinic offers allergy testing, allergy shots, and treatment, and much more. Call the clinic and book your appointment today, 435-266-4735. That's 435-266-4735, or search Budge Allergy Clinic for details.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show, and I am so excited to get right back into it here with a couple of special guests joining us here in hour 2. We've talked a lot about wildfire on the show here. We've talked to local fire marshals and even firefighters. We've talked about the risks out there, the fuel that's out there. We've talked about mitigation, wildland-urban interface, every aspect of this. One thing we really haven't spent any time on so far is what happens when there is a fire, when a call comes in, when someone spots a wildfire, maybe out in the middle of nowhere, maybe just hundreds of yards from a very populated area. What happens next? And I reached out to our friends at the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and we got more than we asked for. Joining us here today, we have Kelly Wickens, who is a Prevention and Communications Specialist at the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and Greg Wilson, who is the Diamond Fork Helitack Supervisor for the Forestry, Fire, and State Lands Division. And this could not be a better way to talk about what happens when a wildfire is first reported, and also to drive it home for our listeners that these wildfires are not just headlines. They are not just reports on the evening news, not just things you hear us talking about in our news breaks here at KVNU or at CacheValleyDaily.com. These are real men and women who go out and put their lives on the line, and the Helitack program, recently expanded here in Utah, is the perfect example. Kelly, Greg, I don't know which one of you wants to take this first, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is literally a situation where a group of firefighters are flown out, sometimes to the middle of nowhere, on a helicopter, dropped off, and left to begin fighting the fire. Is that a fair assessment of the program?
Yeah. Basically, we respond to wildland fires like many other resources, but we're unique in that we respond with a helicopter. And so with that comes some wonderful capabilities like you mentioned, the ability to respond to remote and rugged environments, to roadless areas. And then we have the capability of hooking up a bucket to the helicopter and going to the nearest pond or lake, scooping up water, and then delivering that to the fire to help support the firefighters that were dropped off on the fire line from the helicopter.
And as I understand it, this is a program that at one point you had to kind of rely on regional resources to be available. If they weren't, you were just kind of out of luck. Now we actually have this program here in Utah, and it, from what I've learned just today, has really been the deciding factor in a lot of situations on how quickly those wildfires can be gotten under containment, right?
Yes, that's correct. So for many years, we've had federally contracted helicopters in Utah, and they've been a great asset and has really helped the state of Utah. But because they're a federal resource, we can't always rely on their availability to respond to fires here in the state of Utah. And so when the Division of Forestry and Fire State Lands added aircraft to their firefighting capabilities, that allowed us to have those helicopters available specifically for the state of Utah and to respond to anywhere within the state from St. George all the way up to Bear Lake.
And it goes without saying, this year you've been busy, right?
We have. We've been very busy. We have more. We've responded to more incidents than in the previous years. And I think everyone knows we had a record low snowpack and a very warm winter. And so that's really adding to the number of fires and then the growth of the fires. So we've been to several fires this year that, have been into the thousands of acres. And so that's very unique.
This is, of course, a specialized group of people. The Helitack crew members are highly skilled, highly trained, and very experienced. And Kelly, you mentioned that this is something you did. Now, we joked earlier. You said you've decided that you're too old to be jumping out of the helicopters anymore. But this was something you did for quite some time as well.
Yeah, I did this in my past. I now have a new position with Forestry Fire State Lands, but I rappelled out of helicopters for several years with the Forest Service.
This is honestly, again, a great reminder for our listeners that real men and women go out and put their lives on the line, and oftentimes this Helitack crew is a first response when a new wildfire is reported. The Diamond, this is... let's see, 1, 2, I have forgotten already here, 3, 4. We have 4 different divisions. So the Diamond Fork Helitack is stationed in Spanish Fork. What areas are generally you called out to from there, or it could be anywhere in the state?
So it can be anywhere in the state. Typically what's done with aviation resources, so that includes us as a Helitack crew, is if there's a need for a helicopter, the closest helicopter will be dispatched to that incident. So we do a lot, because we're based in Spanish Fork, we do a lot of fire suppression in Utah County. Lake Mountain is a popular destination for us. But we've been to, the northern reaches of the state all the way down to Moab and Monticello and around the St. George area. So we'll go anywhere in the state.
It's honestly amazing that this can happen. And Greg, Kelly, I know the answer to this already. Kelly mentioned it to me when she and I were chatting earlier about, organizing this interview. But tell our listeners out there how fast the Diamond Fork Helitack crew can get something in the air and to a wildfire.
Well, we shoot for a sub 5-minute departure. Once I get notified by our local dispatch office, we get to the aircraft, we get our fire line gear on, suited up, and jumped in the helicopter, and we're off. And, we have the luxury of getting to places extremely quick. So, for example, I just returned from a dispatch, and fortunately it was a false alarm. We never made it to the incident. We were turned around, But for the aircraft to get to that location, it was a 32-minute flight. And for our vehicles to get to that location, it was a 2.5-hour drive. So you can see, we have the luxury and we're fortunate with the helicopter to be able to get to places really quick.
Honestly, amazing. And again, the bravery it would take to go out and do this. Oftentimes, Helitack crews are, dropped near the fire and then just left as everyone else is still making their way there. Kelly, you and I spoke earlier today. This program was recently expanded here in Utah just a couple of years ago. What did that mean for firefighting efforts statewide?
So initially, the state brought on 2 Type 1 helicopters as our helicopter program. We quite quickly realized that we would be very benefited by adding the Type 3 helicopter and our Diamond Fork Helitack personnel as well. This allows the state to have a quick initial attack response. So like Greg was saying, when we get the call, usually the quickest or the nearest quickest resources is who's going to get dispatched, and oftentimes that's one of our helicopters because we have them strategically placed throughout the state for a response and to quickly get people on scene and water on the fire. That helps us keep the acres lower and the fire from growing as quickly as it can without that quick response.
And I would have to guess that having this program, a bit larger here in the state and covering the entire state, this has to play a big role in overall coordination as well. Even once, the rest of everyone is on scene, the lines are being cut, everyone's working on containing this fire. I would assume the Helitack crew doesn't just go home and go to bed at that point. Probably a big part of ongoing coordination and transferring supplies and additional firefighters, things like that.
Yes, that's correct. So, putting out the fire is just a part of the whole puzzle, right? So like you mentioned, oftentimes we're transporting other firefighters that are not part of the Diamond Fork Helitack crew. So hot shots, engine crew members, and others, we have the capability to fly them up to the fire along with supplies that allows those individuals to stay out overnight on the incident, food, water, those sorts of things. And we're also coordinating with fire managers, providing them intel on the fire, the size, what's it doing, mapping capabilities. Everyone wants to know what jurisdiction is the fire on, what size is it, and we're able to provide that information to our fire managers. So, yes, lots of coordination happening.
Our guests again here, Kelly Wickens, Prevention and Communication Specialist for the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and Greg Wilson, Diamond Fork Helitack Supervisor with the Forestry, Fire, and State Lands Division. A pleasure to have both of you make some time for us today. I know your time is very valuable right now, to say the least, so we're honored to have a chance to speak with you. And Kelly, you and I spoke earlier today. We talked about, how important it is for people to remember these wildfires aren't just headlines. They aren't just news stories here on the radio station news breaks. These are real men and women going out, putting their lives on the line. And part of your job, Kelly, as a communication specialist, is also prevention. What can people do when they're out we love to get out and recreate. Well, maybe not this weekend with triple digit temperatures, but generally we love to get out and recreate in our mountains, our wild areas. But we do see the data, and we do see that in Utah, more than a majority of fires are human caused. What can we do to not create more work and risk for Greg and his team?
Yeah, so, I think we're sitting about 70% of our fires in Utah this year have been human-caused. Prevention is really our first response to wildfire this year, especially with the conditions we have. So it's everybody's job to actually be the first responder, and the first response is fire. So if we can cut down on our human-caused fire, that allows our resources to be available for fires that we can't control. So it's hugely beneficial to all our fire personnel, our fire leadership, our whole entire state, our air quality, all the things that come with wildfire. So that's our goal, is to reduce those numbers.
Sure. And it can be as simple as everything we hear, right? That keeping an eye on those trailer chains, watching what we're doing when we're in, these wild areas, making sure that we're making smart decisions. Obviously, even in the foothills around the valley here in Cache Valley, you can see that certain things would not be a good idea right now, is that grass turns from green to brown very quickly in the last few weeks. But also considering the wild areas in the state and the fact that Mother Nature is going to throw work at all of these folks anyway. Don't add to it. Be careful and think it through. And Kelly, I have to mention this as well. The Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, some amazing resources at the website as far as long-term mitigation efforts we can all do ourselves, from things we do in our yards to what we do when we're outside, and some preparedness planning as well. Recognizing that a wildfire can mean evacuations for anyone anywhere in the state at some point. Great resources there.
Yeah, so we have Utah Fire Info, which has a great restrictions page. It has our prevention information. It has fires that are occurring now, and you can get information on all of that on Utah Fire Info. We also just launched Utah Living with Fire as a way for homeowners and our residents to get prepare themselves, prepare their homes, prepare their properties, and things they can do, and that as well to help with those fires that are in the wildland urban interface. So those are great resources. We also have social media channels. We try to keep everything up to date as far as wildfires occurring across the state. So absolutely great resources to know if you're in Utah.
And for our listeners, I've linked many of those on our Facebook page. You can also just do a simple search for the Utah Forestry, Fire, and State Lands website. Get connected to all of those. Utah Fire Info, we talked about here, great resource both on social media and through their webpage. And appreciate both of you taking time today. I know, Kelly, you mentioned, and Greg, I know Greg and his team were literally called out earlier, and then were able to still make time for this interview today. I don't want to take any more of your time in case that second call, third call, fourth call, fifth call of the day comes. But thank you to you both for making some time today for KVNU and listeners and getting word out on this.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate.
It's our pleasure. And again, for our guests have been Kelly Wickens, Prevention and Communications Specialist for the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, and with the division, Greg Wilson, Diamond Fork Helitack Supervisor. If you'd like to know more, even see some photos of what we're talking about here with the work of these Helitack crews, I've linked to some of the resources available at utah.gov/fire and other sites. And be sure and check out this kind of a honestly amazing video that now it's not a Utah team, but this is a video that it went viral a year ago. Cal Fire put this up. It's simply titled "Watch the Boggs Mountain Helitack Crew in Action," and you'll get an idea of what we've been talking about here with our guests. And though our guests have to move on, I want to just spend a couple of minutes on this because please go check this out. These crews exist throughout several different agencies, federal and state. Here in Utah, there's also a BLM Helitack crew that is oftentimes called out in very remote wilderness areas. But I mean, there's just no way to really describe this. The Boggs Mountain Helitack crew video that I referenced there literally shows, now this is in the Black Hills area where they were called to, and it shows Helitack crews, these teams of firefighters being flown out middle of nowhere by helicopter, and then just jumping and rappelling down from the helicopter and right in front of the wildfire, and they start cutting fire lines or soaking fire lines if that's an option. And just absolutely astounding, the bravery that would be required alone to do something like this. But also something to point out, back in 2025, you may remember this story, but this was July of 2025,
This was a big fire, and I believe it had been burning for quite some time in Colorado and Douglas County. And this video that I've linked to on our Facebook page shows this helicopter team, this Helitack team. The fire had burned 130 acres and forced some evacuations, and was moving pretty quickly. And this Helitack team goes in. They drop the men and women in front of the fire. They start cutting a fire line. The helicopter then goes back. This is all in the video that went viral again last year. All in the video. The helicopter goes back, and a water scooper is attached to the helicopter. Helicopter flies over to a nearby reservoir, flies back, starts dumping water on the fire while the firefighters are cutting this fire line. At times in this, and again, this is only about a 6-minute long video. In this video, you actually see, the firefighters dumping water on the firefighters themselves to protect them from the fire. Anyway, it's just an unbelievable thing to see, and that's we've just spoken with two people who have put their lives on the line in this way. So, man, pay them the respect they deserve at very least by being careful and thoughtful with what you do out there so that you're not adding to their workload, even with a small grass fire. This is critical work they're doing. And again, men and women putting their lives on the line to keep us safe, to keep wildfires under control where possible, and mad respect. All right, we'll be back after this look at the local headlines with KVN.
Well, thank you, Jason. As the new school year is approaching, the Sutherland Institute has launched a free online tool to help Utah families compare and select the right educational environment for their children. Now, the Utah Schools Navigator, which is available at utahschools.org, serves as a nonpartisan one-stop resource. Now, it allows parents to search and compare local public, charter, magnet, private, and micro schools while also offering direct assistance and guidance. Now, Christine Cook-Fairbanks, who is an education policy fellow at the Salt Lake City-based think tank, emphasized that choice requires accessibility, noting that the tool is designed to save time for busy families seeking a better fit for their children. Now, the launch comes amid ongoing debate, though, over school choice in Utah. Now, the Institute continues to support initiatives like the Utah Fits All Scholarship Program, which right now remains under review by the Utah Supreme Court following a lawsuit by the Utah Education Association. Well, new numbers out show that homelessness in Utah has decreased for the first time in years, according to the 2026 point-in-time survey that was released by the Utah Office of Homeless Services. Now, the annual census, which was conducted back on January 28th, revealed a 6.7% decrease in chronic homelessness and a 9.7% drop in unsheltered homelessness statewide. Now, officials noted that the unsheltered decline occurred despite a 43% reduction in Code Blue emergency shelter expansion nights compared to last year. Now, despite the overall drop, data did show an uptick in homelessness among seniors ages 65 and older, rising from 356 last year to 385 this year. Now, State Homeless Coordinator Tyler Clancy emphasized that addressing this issue requires individualized, adaptable support systems to ensure long-term stability for the vulnerable population. Finally, Utah's wildfire fighting costs have already reached approximately $29.2 million this year, nearly matching the state's overall total expenditures for the entire 2025 season. Now, with months remaining in the typical wildfire season, state officials are warning that costs could rise by another $10 to $20 million as large blazes are continuing to pull state resources. Now, according to Jamie Barnes, state forester with the Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands, the surge is driven by increased fire size, along with extensive aviation needs and expanded personnel deployment. Now, major blazes which have contributed to the financial strain this year include the Babylon, Cottonwood, Iron, Cherry, and Widemouth 2 fires most recently. Now, despite the growing expenditures, though, officials do not expect a direct tax impact. Now, Utah maintains a dedicated wildfire fund, which is stocked with between $120 and $133 million to cover suppression costs. Well, we've definitely still got some smoke and haze from the neighboring wildfires here in the valley, and that is eventually going to clear out of the area over at least a couple of days. Looks like by Friday we should start to see that smoke and haze gone. And until then, well, temperatures are just gradually going to warm up as we'll stay in the low 90s to mid 90s for tomorrow, high 90s, possibly 100 for Friday, Saturday, and then a little cooler weather coming on Sunday, but unfortunately not by much. It looks like as we look ahead, though, to Monday, we could see a slight chance of some thunderstorms coming to maybe bring us a little bit of moisture. And weather this hour is brought to you by the Allies Law Firm. When it comes to estate planning, probate, or divorce services, the Allies Law Firm offers transparent flat fees, so you know what to expect from the very beginning. It's the Allies Law Firm, where they plan, they fight, and you'll win. You can trust the Allies Law Firm. And for KVNU News, I'm Will Feelright.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. Even though wildfires are starting to die down in Washington state, smoke is still a concern for some. ABC Samara Theodore.
We are anticipating some of the heaviest extreme wildfire smoke to be situated just north of Spokane. And then this does make its way, meandering all the way south into Utah. Richfield, Utah, seeing some very heavy smoke as well. So smoke is a real issue out there.
GOP Senators Lisa Murkowski and Bill Cassidy met behind closed doors with Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche for more than an hour. Both were tight-lipped about whether they'll support his nomination. Murkowski has been noncommittal.
I think it was a good conversation that Senator Cassidy and I had, and it was a good sit-down. Let's just say it.
Now, if Senator Mitch McConnell is absent for Blanche's vote, the acting AG can only afford to lose 2 other Republican votes. And Senator Susan Collins has already said she won't back him. This is ABC News.
It's time for Bank of Utah's Where's the Wallet Cash Quest. They've hidden a wallet with $20,000 somewhere in Utah. Find it, and $10,000 is yours to keep. The other half goes to a charity of your choice. Clues can be found at bankofutah.com and on social media. Watch for new clues each week. Find the wallet, win $10,000, and help a Utah charity. Start your quest at Bank of Utah today. Bank of Utah, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. Will the Save America Act impact the midterm elections if divided Senate Republicans wind up passing it? Hear why it likely won't be in effect. Also, investors may not be fazed by the U.S. and Iran exchanging strikes. However, some businesses are now tweaking their corporate strategies. And college kids find cheap rent living in retirement communities. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Planning a summer getaway, or do you have friends and family arriving in Logan? Whether it's hiking, biking, fishing, family vacations, outdoor concerts, or exploring beautiful Cache Valley, you need a great place to stay. The absolute best deal in town is the Bomb Hotel and the Aggie 79 Special. Stay for just $79 per night. Enjoy clean, comfortable rooms, friendly service, and outdoor pool, plus a free full breakfast for just $79 with Aggie 79. Call 752-5220, 752-5220, and book your summer stay today.
When something goes wrong at your home, you want someone you can trust, not a stranger from out of town. Canyon Plumbing and Heating has been Cache Valley's locally owned plumber since 2005. Our licensed technicians show up fast, treat your home with respect, and give you honest answers. From Preston to Avon and everywhere in between, we're your neighbors, and we're here to help. Call Canyon Plumbing and Heating at 435-881-6952 because home should always feel like home.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Danes, where he can customize a hearing improvement program to meet your needs. Call 753-HEAR or visit CacheHearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Logan, Ogden, stand by for details on how much it costs to borrow $1,000 from Dollar Loan Center. We offers signature loans up to $5,000 in minutes, and you don't need great credit or collateral. No checking account required, no application fees, and you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out. So if you need $1,000, it'll only cost you $7.56 per day. You can keep it out for a week, a month, a year. That's up to you. For new customers, the first week's interest is even on us. Give GLC a shot. You'll be glad you did. Stop by in Logan on US 89 by McDonald's or in Ogden on 12th at Lincoln. You can also get up to $5,000 in minutes at don'tbebroke.com and save the drive.
License by the financial institutions. Amounts based on biweekly pay frequency with annual percentage for 275%. For additional cost information, call 866-550-4352. Subject to approval, limitations may apply.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Welcome back to KBN News for the People. It's been a rough year when it comes to waterways and lakes here in Utah. There have been several tragedies, deaths and injuries, and a link on our Facebook page to a GoFundMe set up for a young woman who lost both of her legs in a recent boating accident on Bear Lake. We also see reports recently of public safety officials and even business owners in Garden City and around Bear Lake saying that the current situation is unsustainable, a public safety nightmare waiting to happen. One resident of Garden City referred to it as. There are a lot of conversations that are probably going to need to happen about the number of people that are at the lake for a few months at least every year. But keep in mind that there are many families and businesses who would not be able to stay there and stay afloat without that tourism that is such a huge part of the economy over there each and every year. So trade-offs, right? Recently, we had an opportunity to talk about some of the resources that are out there that might help. Resources that oftentimes residents and visitors don't know about, that are offered for free by the state. And by the state, I mean both Idaho and Utah. Recently, we had a chance to sit down and talk with Utah Department of Natural Resources Law Enforcement Division Sergeant and a man with experience managing destination reservoirs and lakes here in Utah for quite some time. DNR Law Enforcement Division Sergeant Eric Bradshaw. Had a chance to talk to him about some of the resources the state offers to keep people safe while out enjoying the water. I ran across this video that it is meant to show what you can expect if you're being irresponsible on the water and are stopped by a park ranger. And in this video, they start going through the checklist of everything you should have for safety purposes on that craft. And it is a lengthy conversation between this ranger and the boat operator. But again, that's kind of the point, right? To show there are inherent risks involved with this. We're out there having fun, but there are inherent risks.
Oh yeah, there's definitely risks. We do a vessel inspection just to make sure you have all the proper equipment on board, and it ranges. I mean, the smaller the vessel, the less things that are required.
Sure.
Every vessel, including paddleboards and kayaks, canoes, and even large boats, you have to have at least one life check on board for everybody. If you're 12 and younger, you have to be wearing them. And then with boating is very seasonal. So people will winterize their boat, put it up for the winter, and then a lot of times they'll bring them out, and they'll forget to put those important items back into the boat.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's
Yeah.
reason why we like to do these annually. Anytime we talk to a boater, we like to run them through, make sure they have all the proper safety equipment on board.
Makes sense. To me, watching the video is educational because having never owned a boat, I didn't realize how many things were required, and I thought, there are probably a lot of people out there who maybe are in the same position and are taking a boat out on the weekends. So the video was meant as an educational tool to remind people of these inherent risks and these very simple steps you can take to reduce the risk. There are also in the boating education content I found online at recreation.utah.gov and many other places. Sergeant, there are these pretty amazing video courses, for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah, so you have to be 18 to operate a PWC.
Okay.
You can operate a PWC if you're 12, but you have to take a course, and it's a personal watercraft course that you have to take, and then that's good from 12 to 18. And then the legislator passed this legislative session. It'll go into effect next year. Is a boater operated course.
Okay.
So that'll be new coming in next year. That everyone that operates a boat has to take a boater education course.
Okay, so it'll be required. That is something. Now, as my understanding as well is a lot of this has been developed working with people who have from park rangers, people who've had experience at state parks like yourself, but also working with companies who rent personal watercraft and otherwise, and getting their stories of what they're seeing out there, and that's how these courses were developed, as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants everyone involved in the industry. The watercraft industry wants everyone to have a safe time and come back,
Sure.
with equipment and things like that. So the state of Utah has worked with multiple partners, and like you said, private companies will come out. I mean, a lot of times we're using their boat, because we don't have that boat and things like that. So it is a good partnership just to help increase boater safety in Utah.
Sure. That is, and outside of a handful, it's fair to say most of the stories we see involving accidents, injury, and death on Utah's waterways, our state parks, and otherwise, most of the headlines you see, Sergeant, to not to be insensitive, but they are preventable.
Unfortunately, yes, a lot of them are preventable. Like I was talking about, paddlecraft. We have a lot of fatalities on paddlecraft, and they're not wearing a life jacket. They're not required to because you're an adult or something like that. But if they would happen to just be wearing a life jacket, that improves your odds a lot.
This is for listeners out there maybe not aware, at least as far as 2025 report presented to the legislature. Outdoor recreation in Utah, including these lakes and reservoirs and all of that, it's a more than $10 billion industry here. Has more than $10 billion of economic impact here in Utah. That's something that keeps a lot of roads paid for, keeps a lot of cities able to keep their lights on and offer services for their residents. It's a huge part of life, of course, in Garden City and a lot of the Bear Lake Valley. And it does, come with challenges. Sergeant, in your experience with, the parks in general, we've seen massive attendance growth at almost every state park every year for many. Is it getting to a point where it possibly might be unmanageable, or can we keep a handle on it?
Well, I think 2020 was probably the busiest year state parks has ever had.
Sure, busiest year for search and rescue. I know that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think things kind of change. Water levels are a big reason. As water levels get low, they get lower and things like that. But like you mentioned, like a lot of these cities rely on this, but then So I mean, before venturing out, some of the biggest things is just to bring a life jacket that fits you. Wear that life jacket that fits you. Make sure everyone has a fitting jacket for them before going out to the lakes. Another thing you really want to do, especially this time of year with monsoons, is check your weather. And check it multiple times if you can, if you have service, just because it changes so fast with these monsoons.
Sure.
Definitely keep an eye on the weather, because that's tends to be a factor in a lot of these accidents. But then you can go to the state website, the DNR website, Outdoor Recreation, and look for all the safety things that you need to have on your boat, or things that you should take as well. And then you can also go to the state parks website and check their conditions. They usually have updated current conditions with water temperature, water level, and things like that as well. So those are good pre-planning before you head out. and then just have all that equipment with you, and better if you just wear it.
It is, again, an example of how easy this can be to increase the safety as you go out. Again, inherent risk with anything, whether you're out just on foot on the trails here around Cache Valley, or whether you're out on, at Echo State Park or at Bear Lake on the water, there are always going to be inherent risks, but we can take steps to reduce those risks, to keep ourselves and our family safe and other people as well. And as the sergeant has mentioned, starting next year, there is going to be a required education course for certain watercraft operation here in Utah. There are a lot of free voluntary options available right now if you want to get out on the trails, on the lakes, on the reservoirs, and do it safely. Some really easy tips to do that. I've linked to a lot of these resources on our Facebook page, but a simple Google search will take you to recreation.utah.gov, the Utah Department of Natural Resources safety pages, and more. And Sergeant Bradshaw, before we part ways with you here today, you have a lot of experience. In fact, we were joking here in the studio before giving you a call that we needed to find out which title you wanted us to use today, because you have a vast amount of experience. If you could offer one bit of advice to everyone out there listening that you think would just greatly improves everybody's experience and and the odds that everyone comes home safely with nothing more than maybe a little scratch, what would you say to everyone out there listening so that we can still go out and recreate, but do it without these tragic stories?
Yeah. The biggest one is just wear a life jacket. Even in the spring or the summer, it may not. It'll buy you time for someone else to help you. A lot of times, your rescuer is another recreational boater.
Sure,
and it's not actually like law enforcement. So it's a very good community. We just need to take care of each other. So be plan to help you, but also maybe help another boater.
As well said. Really appreciate taking so much time for us today. I've taken more than we asked for, and so we owe you one. If we can ever do anything else, just give us a call, and we'll stop what we're doing and let you on air. But a pleasure to speak with you today. A bit of a celebrity in outdoor recreation circles, in fact. So an honor to have you join us here on the show. Again, for our listeners, our guest has been Sergeant Eric Bradshaw of the Utah Department of Natural Resources Law Enforcement Division, someone with experience as a ranger, manager of Rockport and Echo State Parks, talking to us today about a lot of the safety resources that are available, things that will keep you and your family safe, from life jacket lending programs to just, honestly, training yourself to never go out without the life jacket if you're headed out on the water, but also information on these sites about vessel registration, boater education courses, emergency preparedness, what you should have on your watercraft, and some of the simple rules that exist out there that can help you avoid a hefty fine from knowledge about some of the strict muscle-aware boater regulations here in Utah, trying to stop the spread of these invasive species from waterway to waterway. Simple things. So Sergeant Bradshaw had to part ways with us because we caught him when he had several responsibilities going on, but appreciate him making the time for us today still. But he sent along a lot of resources beforehand. He said, if we don't have time to talk about these, maybe you could discuss them with your listeners. But to give you an example, one of the most frequent citations here in Utah on Utah waterways is a citation for violation of the 5 mile per hour wakeless speed limit within 150 feet of docks. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, right? Someone was going 10 or 15 miles per hour in a wakeless area, 150 feet from a dock. But as Sergeant Bradshaw pointed out, this is also the most likely cause of an accident that leads to injury of almost anything that happens on Utah's waterways. And it is the most frequent rule violated because people just don't pay attention. He said most people think this is all about the safety of their vessel, but the 5 mile per hour wakeless speed limit within 150 feet of docks, shorelines, or any other vessel is also to protect other people from you. And unfortunately, he said, again, it is the most frequent citation issued in Utah each and every year. Quickly, though, again, the safety measures that are free. So there are a couple different websites you can visit for some of these safety trainings that literally could save a life. Utah Department of Public Safety has many. Utah Department of Natural Resources website actually has a boater safety tab that you can click on that'll take you to all of this. And then there are also some resources offered through local businesses, including some, outdoor rental companies and boat maintenance and service companies here in northern Utah who have taken these trainings and put up their own videos, obviously to promote their business, but also to get word out on this. So, and a final note on this. So Sergeant Bradshaw sent this along. Again, he couldn't stick with us more than the time he had due to some other requirements, public safety related. But he sent along this information, said, again, if you don't have time to talk about this while I'm with you, make sure your listeners hear about it. This is pretty cool. Utah is joining Texas and Florida this summer in a public service campaign to tell boaters, paddleboarders, anybody else out on a river or lake or the reservoir to wear your life jacket. But the way that this is playing out, basically, state officials, Major Steve Bullock with the Department of Natural Resources, alongside Sergeant Bradshaw, our guest here, said the message isn't getting through. He said, it worked for whatever reason with motorcycle riding and skiing. He says, if you go skiing now, you see everyone wearing a ski helmet. You go mountain biking or motorcycle riding, you're going to see more people wearing helmets than not. But he said, for whatever reason, boating and life jackets, the message isn't getting through. And he said, I think the reason is people think that it doesn't apply to them. Often he hears it all the time. I'm a good swimmer. Well, good swimmers drown too, the major said. Pretty stark. Bullock said 8 people have drowned in Utah as of the first week of August, and that includes Utah lakes, reservoirs, and rivers. 8 people have drowned, and just one of them was wearing a life jacket. It was a rare occurrence. One of those a person who perished was a scuba diver, so that wasn't counted in these statistics. Life jackets in Utah are required for children under age 13, a citable offense, along with anyone on its rivers and those being towed, including water skis or an inner tube. State law doesn't require adult boaters, kayakers, or paddleboarders to wear them on reservoirs, only to have one on board the vessel for each person. But Bullock says just bringing them along, it does not doing you any good if it's in the cabinet. He described a tragic scenario that he says it happened several times. Utah News Dispatch reporting on this in an interview with Bullock. He told them officers noted a deceased paddleboarder wasn't wearing a life jacket and found the board in another location with the life jacket tucked under the straps. So again, someone fell off the paddleboard, for whatever reason, tried to swim back to the paddleboard but couldn't make it, drowned, lost their lives, was found deceased, and the paddleboard that they were trying to swim back to and couldn't had a life jacket tucked under the straps, holding it in place. Yeah. He acknowledged many people don't want to bother. They're bulky. They're uncomfortable. I've heard this before. I don't like how I look in them. I mean, I don't know. Nobody looks good in a skiing helmet, but you still wear them, right? Nobody looks good in, there are some pretty cool motorcycle helmets out there, but, yeah, anyway, I've heard that many times. I don't like how I look in a life jacket, or they're bulky. I feel like I can't move. Well, you know what else will stop you from moving? Drowning. This is no joke, honestly, and what a tragic story to think of that. Someone who had a life vest and just didn't want to put it on. So division directors, Corey Russo, division director at the Utah Office of Medical Examiner's Office, said, looking at the statistics, he said, I'm urging Utahns to start thinking of life jackets like the seatbelt in a car. It literally will save your life. I, no offense, don't want to see you at my office. That message became an idea for a public service campaign. So Florida, Utah, and Texas are teaming up to produce these PSAs that for the first time ever will feature